Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we're going to review and demo another thing that I picked up from the Gibson mod collection. If you're not familiar, every week we do a recap. They have some pretty interesting stuff. I think you guys know my type of guitar by now. But this is one that they called Kiwi Burst, and I didn't really understand the name title. Like, I understood Kiwi, but then they threw blue on this thing, so I've been looking up images of Kiwis trying to find a blue one. Yeah, I mean, you can find Photoshop blue Kiwis. I thought, okay, maybe it doesn't have something to do with the trees. Like, do they have blue flowers on it? I mean, did you guys know Chinese gooseberries look like this growing? How cool is that? Kiwis they've always made me smile. They've got a cool name and I enjoy eating them, and they're little crunchy seeds, which was my little teaser for you guys at the end of that last recap video. So let's go ahead and check this gooseberry out. Oh, nice. This looks way better in person. They definitely nailed that green. I see where they're getting the kiwi there. I still don't quite understand the rest of it necessarily. All right, this feels interesting. It's a Les Paul custom Axcess, but it's got some red in it. That did not come through on the photos on Gibson's website. You see how this area right here turns red and then it goes into green? I mean, it really does remind me of the Les Paul Centipede, especially now that we've got 3 colors going on it. But what makes this review kind of different from the other Widows that we've been doing out of the mod collection is the fact that it's actually an Axcess Les Paul. So what's an Axcess Les Paul? It means it's actually slightly thinner than a regular Les Paul custom. It has a comfort carve on the back right here, you know, for your belly and whatnot. And then right here, you have what they call the all Axcess heel carve. They kind of take the regular heel joint and they shave it down a bit. They get rid of some of the body right here. They do that whole swoop, and it's just supposed to make it so you can hit every single fret in theory. It's a bit of a stretch for that 22nd yet, but it's a lot more comfortable than a regular Les Paul. But man, the ebony fretboard, the blue, it would have been interesting had they had did the red inlays for the Gibson logo and just left the binding be blue, because then that would kind of match what they've got going on here. But that's definitely a very nice kiwi green finish. And then gold hardware, uncovered zebra bobbins. You know, I was a little bit on the fence about this one. I was unsure if I was actually going to like it or not, but I thought it would make for an interesting review and demo since we haven't checked out an Axcess custom in a while. I mean, let alone an Axcess Widow. I've got a Les Paul Rhino right now, which is essentially the exact same thing, but you know, this one's just kind of a fruitier flavor for that. However, I can't help feel but a little bit sad that this doesn't have like a bird's eye maple top, so we have like the little kiwi seeds. I don't know about you guys, I would have never thought about a green guitar with a red burst and blue binding, but that's what I love the mod collection and demo shop. They could do fun things like this. So our case, regular Gibson custom shop case, the non-historic version because you got the double neck rest. It's more protective though. Inside here we get a black cover, a new COA for this since it no longer has the original. Case key, warranty information, they just pretty much tell you 2-year playability warranty and everything that they found. Oh, nice. Trash and finish throughout. Trash and finish, trash and finish. Trash and finish, apparently that's just what they said. I always thought Bruce Kunkel was just being a little bit harsh on my SNAKEPIT guitar, but no, trash, okay. Guess we need to look for some fish bones and apple cores. All right, let's go ahead and throw this on the workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs. Inside the Kiwi Burst, I think I'm still going to stand behind. I think it would have been awesome had they did a light brown binding. You know, have the whole traditional brown fuzzy skin with the green interior. I get it, brown would be kind of a boring color on the headstock, but it would have made it unique. But they also call this finish a VOS. I think what they meant to say is almost satin, because I'm not seeing any of the normal VOS stuff on here. It just kind of feels like a semi-gloss finish, so not full-on satin, but not quite full-on gloss either. I actually really like the way that this feels. But as far as our pickups, looks like we got some sort of a burst bucker in here. So there's our neck pickup, and here's our bridge pickup. And within the circuit, the bridge reads 7.85 k ohms, and our neck position a little bit hotter at 7.92, and middle position for fun, 3.94.
But now looking inside our pickup cavities, we can see it's a long neck tenon in here with the mahogany body. You can see where the mahogany neck meets in here with the maple top and the other mahogany body part right here. And this part is the maple truss rod cap. That's kind of cool to see the maple in the bridge pickup cavity dyed a green color. But there you can also see the difference between the maple top and the mahogany body. Now, I was always curious what type of weight relief a Les Paul Axcess would have, and I just recently found a photo of one. Apparently, this is what they look like. I got that diagram off of an old Gibson made-to-measure pamphlet that showed a whole bunch of stuff. But now looking at this thing again, now knowing that we have red in here, this probably still started life as one of those Bengal bursts. They just went overboard with green and they weren't able to hide all the red out of it. So that's why they decided to do that like dark blue color, because that kind of helped hide that a little bit more. But it really turned into this really interesting dark witch-like green. Like the red is not overly apparent, even in person. I mean, you really got to get it in the light and get it to not be reflecting white to be able to see it. This is a very reflective guitar because of that satin finish. But our pickups, they're a little bit worn, but they've removed the pickup covers off of them. We've got the zebra bobbins, and you have gold pole pieces on these things yet, which looks pretty nice. Now, Axcess has come in two forms. You can get them in Floyd Rose variant, which is the most popular, and then you got guys like me that would rather just have ABR1 stop part tailpiece. You'd think they would go Nashville, since this doesn't have to be a historic guitar, but I love the fact that they still get the ABR1s. So here you can see that it is a non-wire version and just reads Gibson ABR1. Then I was kind of surprised to see a full weight tailpiece on this. I thought for sure we'd see a lightweight aluminum one. Now the mod shop, I believe they've replaced these knobs, but I don't know if they installed those correctly. They sure do stick up quite high. And they didn't quite get them calibrated correctly, like 10s here on that, 10s here on that one. Okay, they almost line up, but then the 10s are in the more so correct position on this one, and this is with all of them turned where they should be. So that's kind of annoying, but that's easy to fix. The toggle switch, I also noticed this wasn't very tight either, like it moves, so maybe they could work on securing those better because those are tough to do if you don't have the right tool. But you can see some scratches in the finish right there, but there was never any type of a pickguard installed on this one. So Bengal burst into green kiwi red burst. Interesting. Oh man, I'm starting to see the trash. When they say trash, they mean trash. So it's not quite a fishbone like I was hoping for, but it's like a bump in the finish right there. And then you can also see some right there. Okay, all right, that all makes sense. I guess you could call them like witchy warts or something, because it's kind of got a witch's brew vibe going on too. But anyways, two-piece maple top, mahogany back, mahogany neck with an ebony fretboard, 22 medium jumbo frets with the real mother of pearl inlays on this. I'm kind of surprised that the Axcesses don't have compound radiuses, because it would kind of make sense for this model to have that. But it's just your standard 12-inch radius with a 24 3/4-inch scale length. We've got a nut width of 1.69 inches, and that increases to 2.06 by the 12th. First fret neck depth, 0.85, and 0.99 by the 12th. I'd say that's a little bit misleading because the heel's starting like right there, so let's take it from like the 10th, where it's only 0.94. Here's what that neck looks like at the first fret and the 12th fret. Looks like it's got some pretty considerable shoulders to it, and it's definitely a big C shape. Which I guess now that I feel it, I do agree with what I'm seeing. It didn't feel that wide until I saw that outline of it. Like, it's got some shoulders to it, but it's not a huge neck, and it's not like SG wide feeling. This is a really slick looking and feeling guitar. Moving on to our headstock now, it got the same type of finish treatment, but it's all blue. You know, I'm starting to really like opening these truss rods up and seeing the color over top of the brass nut, so it's got a blue nut as well. That's just a demo shop exclusive paint job for them. But mother of pearl up here, Gibson logos, golden tuners, looks pretty nice. Moving on to the backside, do you guys want to see something really crazy? There's a ding on the guitar, but it's under the finish. It's so strange running your nail along that expecting to feel a ding and then it's just not there. So that had to have been like what ended up making this become a second in the first place to get it in the demo mod shop. And then they just finished over it. That's funny. I like that. But here you can see how they did the wiring Typical custom shop fashion right there. You've got your output jack on the side in gold, strap buttons in your regular locations, your toggle switches in here, and here you can see that Axcess heel carve, as well as your belly cut that most Les Pauls do not have. Another one I can think of off the top of my head, Les Paul recording. But you're probably curious, hey, how big are Les Paul Axcess? I'm measuring about 1.8, so that's 2/10 thinner than a regular Les Paul, because they're generally 2 inches. So a little bit slimmer, and slimmed down in a few areas. And then they slightly weight relieve them, so this was supposed to be about 7.5 pounds. We'll get that in a minute though. So a great option for someone who has a bad back or their arm's no good or something like that. I just think Les Paul Axcesses are some of the nicest Les Pauls that you can buy and play. Like if you need a serious gigging machine and you play high up in the registers, or you just like being able to brag, oh yeah, I've got a Les Paul Axcess, or if I need to get up here, I can. That's what I think Les Paul Axcesses are for. Even if you don't like the Floyd Rose options, they make them just like this. So moving up the back of the neck, you've got just this satin-like finish going on here. But originally, this Gibson decal would not have been blue. It would have been the regular colors. But over top of the back of this, just like how they've got the binding sprayed over blue, there is a dark blue over black, this entire thing. Now I was expecting if I put it in the light just right, you might be able to see the blue hint. But it's so dark, you actually can't. But where's our mod stamp on this one? It's up here because you got this giant Apex head carve modern day volute back here. That's really sweet looking. I like the darkness right here. Kind of reminds me of like a Batman movie or something. The Dark Knight stabs the mod stamp. Then you can also see your serial number that is also now blue. Custom shop 100770. And Gibson said it weighed 7.5 pounds. I'm curious, what does it actually weigh? 7 pounds, 11.4 ounces. A little bit more than 7.5, but under 8 pounds for a Les Paul as comfortable to play as this one and as unique as this. I'm actually very glad I gave this thing a chance. Stock photos didn't do it justice. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this one sounds.
Before we get into the playing demo, it just hit me why they call this Kiwi burst, besides, the green. Those little flakes of whatever it is that's in the finish, they're like the seeds. I was always wondering, where's the seeds at? And they're right there. You got a seed there, catch it in the light just right, you've got a seed right here. So yeah, it totally makes sense why it's called Kiwi Burst. Well, let's go ahead and grab our tone samples here, starting with our neck pickup. That should give you an idea. These pickups are really like trying to overdrive my amp, and that's just in clean, so it might help to turn these down just a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and try some distortion now.
I had to stop my playing demo because there was just so much of a ground noise. It was awful. So I had to come back in here. I guess we'll be able to verify it looking earlier if I accidentally did this or if it came from the factory like that. But it doesn't look to me like the ground wire was ever installed anywhere. Yeah, that's kind of important. I'll need to fix that. It's not perfect, but hopefully it works now.
Yeah, I'd say that's a little bit better.
Let's give it a try. This guitar just kind of gives me Van Halen-like vibes. These pickups are ridiculously hot, like hotter than the readings make them even sound. I would probably lower these quite a bit, to be honest, or just roll the volumes down as we were talking about earlier. But it's got some great tones if you like that really hot, driven sound. Now that we know all about the Kiwi Burst VOS, what are my final thoughts on this thing? Pleasantly surprised. It's not exactly the tones that I would prefer out of a Les Paul. I mean, I'd probably mess with the pickup heights a little bit, maybe put some pickup covers on it to tame it a bit. But if what you were going for is, you know, like those Van Halen-esque tones as I was kind of playing around with, that's exactly what this guitar is doing. So it's kind of like Slash Anaconda Burst meets a little bit of Christmas meets some blue, I guess. It's an interesting color combination. Not the worst I've ever seen out there, but as far as Les Paul Axcesses, yeah, they're very comfortable to play. If you find those clunky heels of regular Les Pauls to really get you down, you're gonna like these. If you found that you've always liked a slightly thinner bodied Les Paul, even if you don't necessarily care about this, that might be something else you'll like, or if you need a lightweight one. Les Paul Axcesses, they're fantastic. There's a reason why there's a lot of guys that love gigging these things out. If you don't quite have the custom shop budget, you can technically get this within the Gibson Les Paul Modern. Not quite the same, but it's a little bit better than a regular one. But as far as getting an Apex head carved volute, yeah, those are pretty well exclusive to the custom shop at this particular point in time. Now, is this the mod shop's best showing? Yeah, that ground wire was kind of a letdown, but that is something that would technically have been covered under their 2-year playability warranty, but it was easy enough for me just to fix on the bench. The only other thing I hate about this thing is it's a dust magnet. Like, this looks like I just destroyed this guitar, right? No, that's just dust that is just absorbed onto this guitar. It's such a pain. You gotta wipe it off and then it just comes back again depending on what kind of shirt you're wearing. So, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed checking this thing out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.